Hi and welcome to Match Catch. Now you're all going to be thinking, what's Match Catch all about? So Tom, we've decided to set up Match Catch. Why have we done it?
We've set up Match Catch for an online form of coaching, and we're going to go around 4 different venues. Me and Sam, we've both had loads of questions over the past few years of regarding the venues that we fish all the time. So now we want to put across to you the tricks and tips that we've learned and our knowledge across into videos.
We've had a lot of questions about how to fish a certain tactic, haven't we? So
yeah.
I thought we'd do these videos, going to show exactly what we're on about, because it's not always that easy replying to a message. You can't show exactly what you want to show. So we've done this, haven't we?
Yeah. So what sort of venues are we going to be going to?
So I'm going to be here today doing at the Glebe. Then you're going to be at Westwood, aren't you?
Yeah. Then we're going to go on to decoy
and rookery, where you do really good at as well, aren't you? So
yep. So we get a lot of questions at rookery, so that's another good place. Loads of anglers go there.
Yeah, big open matches, it's just nice to get a head start when you go to the venue, so you have a bit of an idea.
And also, it's going to be a free YouTube channel as well for people to watch.
Yeah, so it's going to be free and everything, so you guys don't have to pay a penny, and you can learn from Tom when he's going to rook me at the Glebe. And just basically, so you got a head start when you go into the match. For episode 1, we're going to Westwood Lakes in Boston. So Tom, what we're going to be doing there?
We're going to be fishing on the Skylark Lake. Obviously, it's just coming out of spring into summer,
yeah.
So it's just on the change. So we're going to run through some hard pellets in 3 different depths of water, a bit of mud line and a bit of edge fishing. Let's go catch some fish.
Right, so we're on the peg today, we're on the Skylark Lake. So Tom, what sort of methods and approaches are you going to look to use today, and why?
Yeah, it's just beginning to come now to the end of March,
yeah.
So obviously it's starting to warm up a lot. The days are starting to get a lot longer and the nights are beginning to pull out, and the water's obviously getting warmer, the fish are on the move.
Yeah.
So it's not so much maggots now, it's on the change, it's that tricky sort of time, isn't it? Do you know,
yeah,
do you know
it's
what I mean?
It's sort of that time of year where the fishing can be really good or it can be quite hard, so almost like winter tactics. So it's a case of starting off quite negative normally this time of year, and then working out on the day. So that's what Tom's going to do today. So I can see you've got some 4mm pellets, some expanders, and some micro pellets there, aren't there?
Yep.
So
yeah,
why have you selected that bait then?
Start for the 4mm.
Yeah.
These ones there, they've got a bit of pellet oil on them, which I find when I'm fishing our pellets here, you can get in 3 different depths across. So you can get tight to the bank, which is, we've got I think about 17-inch tight to the bank.
Yeah.
And then just off the bank, I've probably got about 22, 23-inch.
Yeah.
And then obviously probably 13 metres, you've got a little bit more.
Yeah.
So starting at 13 metres in that bit deeper water, tapping out a few probably hard pellets for a start of, work your way into it, and then just go from there. You might go in and you might not get any indications, and you might need to feed some micros, you know what I mean, to try and get some fish in your peg.
Yeah, I mean, another thing as well with the pellet oil is when you go into some fishery, the pellets tend to float, especially 4mm, and just adding that bit of pellet oil just helps them sink, breaks the film, and when you're fishing on the bottom, you really do need that. If they're floating, the fish is going to come off the bottom, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, so, you need to get the pellets down fast. You're not fishing shallow. It's not like you're pinging pellets with a catapult or anything like that. You're needing to tap the pellets out the pot, and you want them sinking straight down to the bottom, so you're fishing straight away.
Yeah.
When you lay your rig in, you want to be fish, so you're fishing straight away.
Yeah. So you want to keep the pellets on the bottom. You don't want them coming up and floating everywhere, do you?
No, because otherwise you're just going to get liners then.
Yeah. So where are you going to feed the micro pellets?
Well, we've got an edge rig which is just down here.
Yeah.
Down this edge, down towards that. I'm actually sat on 33, so that'll be 34. I've got it halfway down there, about 11 metres. Plums up quite nice down there, nice and flat. It's probably about 16-inch down there. Going to feed some micros down there and fish an expander on the hook.
Yeah. Just a 4mm expander, no other size?
No, always, all I do at Westwood here, every single lake's the same. I always fish micros and 4mm expander.
Same sort of general baits, and
which I find which is best. Maybe you might want some hard pellets on here at the minute on Skylark. There's a lot of water in the lake, so in the middle of summer, it seems to lose the water quite a bit. So usually tight across today, we've got 17-inch. Usually in the summer, when the water, obviously you don't get so much rain and all that sort of stuff, it stops it. The water goes down, and then it's
you almost can get too many fish in your peg, and that's where the 4mm come in. So the heavier the solid bait, it sinks faster. You're going to nail them fish on the deck rather than the micros wafting everywhere and messing the peg up. So what you're trying to say, yeah?
Yeah, exactly that.
Another thing as well, Tom, would you ever use ground bait with the expanders, or is that just something you keep separate? Or
I wouldn't today. It's a little bit too deep for ground bait. I always think down the edge.
Yeah.
in here, and plus normally it attracts too many fish in here. That's what I always think.
And it causes mayhem where you get foul lookers and everything like that.
Like the best thing to do, I find in Skylark, is just set a little trap with a small toss pot. Like even when I'm fishing across.
Yeah. So you're almost trying to get the method feeder sort of.
Like
trap.
you want the smallest pot on.
Yeah.
And then like maybe if you're not catching and you want to like try and attract some more fish in your peg, you might feed a little bit of ground bait. Do you know what I mean? Just to like try and get something in your peg.
Yeah.
But usually 9 times out of 10 here in the summer, you're better off on the small toss pot. Obviously I've cut some little holes in that so you can put it under the water, make it less disturbing as possible. So you're fishing, so you're just setting your trap, not tapping out loads of bait in the summer, because making loads of noise on here in the summer, it just produces too many fish in your peg.
Makes a mess. So with the micro pellets, Tom, how do you look to prepare them? Some people prepare for 2 minutes, some cover in water and just leave them. So
these are fishery micros.
Yeah, so they're Screttins type.
Yeah. Usually just fill it with micros to the top of the lip.
Yeah.
And then after that, just add a little, cover them with water, and then go back to them before the start of the match. And that
so you do that sort of when you when you get to your peg straight away, sort of thing.
Yeah. As soon as it gets to my peg. Well, sometimes I'd probably do them like the night before.
If you've got the fishery pellet to hand,
Yeah.
So in terms of rigs, what lines you pick today, and what rigs are you going to use? So start off with your right across rig. So
yeah, this is my edge rig.
Oh, you're going to start off with the edge, yeah?
Yeah, start off with the edge. We've got 19 inch down the edge.
Yeah. Is that a depth? What sort of depth would you be looking for down the edges?
Well, like I said, there's a lot of water in the lake at the minute.
So it's a bit deeper. Yeah.
Usually, like you get probably a couple more months down the line, it's gonna be the water's gonna drop, and then you're gonna have probably like 12 inch.
Yeah.
The perfect depth in here in the middle of summer, you're looking for 12 inch of water, and 9 times out of 10, you start on a top kit down the edge down there, and down the other side, and then you probably catch a few there for a start with if it's every single peg. But if it's not every single peg and it's peg one, miss one, you can honestly catch down the edge all day. And like the weights on here in the middle of summer, so you're talking 250, 300 pound.
So it's a very sort of positive venue where you've got to catch big weights. It's no good faffing around with little light rigs. You've got to be very positive, tighten the bank and keep your peg sort of controlled.
Yeah.
So we just run me through the floats and everything you like to use on that rig.
So obviously I've got a 3 inch hook link.
Yeah. So would you always stick with 3 inch, or would you look to sometimes use 2, 4,
Well,
6,
the only time I ever use 2 inch hook link is when it's usually 10 inch, when it's 10 inch deep, so I can get my bulk closer to me, or if there's loads of fish in my peg.
So you're keeping all the rigs sort of balanced where you've got the shot and things like that.
And then it goes up to bulk. Got a bulk of number 8s and one number 10 there.
Yeah, straight on the hook link loop to get everything stable,
Yep. And then we've got a carper edge float, a Daiwa float, a 4x14.
Almost like a little short, sort of stubby margin float with a 2mm tip, so you can dot it down and sit on the far bank,
Yep. And then usually if there's like a little bit of skim on the water or anything like that, it's better to add a bit of a back shot.
Yeah, so what's your views on back shots? Some people like to have it sort of almost on the bristle, some like to have it 4 inches away, so what's your sort of take on it?
Usually when I'm fishing with a back shot, or when I'm fishing in the mud, I usually have it probably about 1.5 inches away from there, so probably about there. Just
to keep that rig a bit more still,
Yeah, and I just think it sets that float a lot better as well.
Yeah, so you almost use it like a trimming shot as well.
Yeah, like to trim the shot,
to dot the float down,
and
sink that piece of line. So what main line you got on that rig?
We've got 018 tournament rig line to a 014 tournament rig line hook link.
What's the hook? Is it?
It's an SLWG
size 16.
Yep.
So would you ever look to use an 18, for example, if the fishing was a bit harder, or a smaller
usually
fish?
When I'm fishing a 4mm expander, maybe like in the winter I would use an 18 or a 20, but when it's coming into now, the fish are wanting to feed. You don't want to be, the mouths are probably quite soft as it is.
Yeah.
And they probably get a little bit harder.
Expander as well,
Yeah. And
what elastic is it then? Is it quite a soft elastic, or?
It is a black hybrid.
Yeah. So it's quite soft.
Yeah, it's really soft, yeah.
It's
only just come out from Daiwa, this has, but
I've not hybrid, really... So it's a hybrid type elastic, so...
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah. So it's quite a unique elastic, this is, so it powers up quicker, but it's sort of soft on the strike, isn't it? So you've got a good compromise.
It's a real strange elastic, really, because like I've got the white.
It's almost hard to explain, isn't it, how it works?
Like it's really, really soft when you strike, and then like you think, oh, that's never going to come back, and then you
two have strips and they pop up, don't they?
Yeah,
it changes like really rating. It's the most weirdest stuff ever, but it is really good. So that's your
should we move on to the
hard pellet rig?
Yeah, hard pellet rig. So we'll start at 13 meters. and then we'll work our way across. So obviously I've got 3 different rigs across. So I've got one at 13 with a dolly in, and then one right tight in the mud.
So 3 lines,
3 lines. So I'm going to start off with the hook on this and the hook length for a start.
So I can see on this for a change straight away. You've got a banded pellet.
Yeah. I'm going to fish up.
4-inch hook link, is it?
Yeah, it is. That's a 4-inch hook link.
Yeah.
Going up to a strong bulk of number 10s.
Yeah.
And
so
then
pretty basic sort of pellet rig.
Yeah, exactly the same
stable.
line again. 018 to that's 014 hook length.
Yeah.
And then we've got a wire F1 pellet here.
Yeah.
I've just
why have you chose the wire stem then? Is it because you get a bit of skimming in that deep water? You want to keep it dead stable, is it?
Yeah, like on here for instance, like it's not very windy today, but anyone who comes westward knows that it blows here. And like if they say it's going to be 8 mile an hour, it's more like 40 mile an hour.
Yeah, it's going to be like gale force. Yeah.
So, like it's obviously a little bit more stability with a wire.
Yeah.
And it probably holds against that skim as well.
Yeah. So with your shotting pattern, Tom, would you ever look to string it out, or do you keep stick with that?
I usually stick with that for when I'm fishing hard pellets, mate. Or unless you're fishing shallow, a little bit deeper with hard pellets, then I might string it out with them like number 11s or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's it. I usually stick with that. Maybe I might have it a little bit tighter bulk if there's a lot of fish there. Do you know what I mean?
To get it down a bit more positive.
Yeah.
Get through the fish.
But obviously it's just in spring at the minute. The water's still cold. It's like they're warming up. They are feeding. But
so why do you decide to fish the hard pellets off the bank? Is there any reason for that, or?
I just think it's just like feel your way into it, like.
Yeah, so it's almost like you start in line so you can sort of read the peg with it being funny time of year, so you can start on that and see what response you get. If you're getting too many sort of line bites, you can push up in that shallow water, or if it's, say, quite steady, you can stay on that. You know, it's, if you look around you and there's other people fishing out, it's probably going to be the right line.
Yeah, if you start at 13 metres, like I've probably got, that's my deepest line, so that's probably...
That's a hard pellet line,
yeah, it's probably 30 inch there. So that's probably a good depth to start at. Just under 3 foot. Just rattle a few pellets out there with a pot. Usually fish either like a little guru medium pot, and then just feel your way into it. Rattle probably like 5 or 6 4mm pellets out, and then from then on, if you're not getting any indications or nothing like that, you might want to rattle a few micros out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you almost go like into winter style. So what you're basically trying to say is you're going to start negative, and you've got all the baits sort of as winter approach and a summer approach.
Yeah.
And sort of work out on the day as in from there. So what's your next rig then, Tom?
Obviously, and that I use white hydro on that rig as well.
White hydro, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice soft elastic, but it'll cater anything if it's hard, sort of thing. It's got plenty of stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to me rig, which is in between the far bank and the 13 metre, which that.
So basically, what you're saying is you're covering your different layers in depths. This is what the fish want on the day, so you can. Start negative and then keep pushing up the slope, or going in between the two. You can bounce off each other and.
Yeah, so probably here I've probably got 21 inch, probably a little bit more, maybe 22 inch, and the other one's obviously 30 inch, so I've probably 8 inch difference. But that can make a massive difference for like if you're fishing in say 30 inch, like you're tapping out pellets and you're getting loads of line bites. If you just push that little bit further up, they're probably like, and then you've always got the option to come back down. So that's why you set up them amount of rigs.
So the rig's pretty much the same, is it?
Yeah, well, no, this is a carbon float, this is. Carbon. Obviously, I usually like to use wire, but there's obviously not much wind on it.
Yeah, so you can say if you wanted to string it out and fish it, if it's really hard and you feel the fish want to be in that depth, where they want to be in that side of shallow water, but they don't really want to come shallow, you can lay it in and experiment a bit with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can just work to your bites, really.
Yeah.
It's just an 18 SLWG, 3 inch.
So why have you gone for a 3 inch hook link on that one as opposed to the 4 inch hook link?
Because that is a little bit shallower water out there.
Yeah, so you just,
So obviously I want to...
The depth of water, yeah.
Yeah. And then exactly the same shotting pattern, strong bulk, number 10s.
Yeah.
And then we go up to the float, which is a F1 pellet, carbon.
Yeah.
And then we're going on to the main line, which is 018.
Yeah, so you pretty much stick with 018 at this venue. Yeah. It's quite a versatile, robust line. It's going to cover every sort of situation.
They're mainly in Skylark, mainly in all the lakes here. They all average. There is an odd big carp in here, probably like 10 pound, but they mainly average anywhere from like, I don't know, your average stamp's probably 4 to 8 pound in here.
Yeah,
the
and
best,
as well as you're looking to catch a big weight, so there's no point fishing, say, like 0.14 and catching one a bung for a start and getting snapped, and you've got to be up the bank tying a new rig. It's not worth it, is it?
No,
it doesn't really make a difference because it's out of the way, but you've got that hook link where you can change the diameter line if you need to.
Yeah.
So is that all your rigs, or?
No, and then obviously this is with white hydro, white hybrid, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, white hybrid, yeah.
This is very soft, but also powers up. Obviously, there's a lot of F1s in here as well.
Yeah, so you're likely to catch sort of F1s on that line. So it's got to be soft, because if you hook them, you don't want them to disturb exactly where you're fishing, because it's slightly shallow water.
Yeah, and plus it's not like the summer now, because in the summer here, like when you're fishing right tight over, you can go straight back in and they'll be there again. But
yeah,
like,
they're a bit
with it being a little bit, they're still a little bit spooky.
So what you're trying to say is you need a balance between the two. So you need the positive rigs, but it needs a sort of approach where you can change between a winter style and a summer style. Basically, what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And then obviously
you got your edge rig.
We move on to the tight across rig now.
Tight across, sorry.
Yeah. Yep. Which is it plumbs up tight across at 17 inch. Which that's quite deep for here, because usually, as I said earlier, the water's usually down.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's up at the minute. So, but you give it a couple of months, the water will drain down a bit, and then you'll probably have 12 inch then. So it'll probably lose 4 or 5 inch, and then that's all. Usually in here in the summer, I'll just set up tight across, and then start on the top, kick down both edges.
I noticed as well with that elastic, you've got grey hydro. Is that because you're more likely to catch carp over there? Is that the reason? Yeah, so it's
exactly
a bit more stepped up.
Yeah, exactly that. That's grey hydro for a short kit.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect here for Westwood. That's all mainly used for all snake lake fishing when I'm fishing for carp or anything like that. So maybe if it's just F1s, I'd probably use that white hybrid now, because I'm very impressed with that.
Yeah, a bit softer, but powers up quite quickly. So pretty much the components wise, with the floats line and the shotty packs, is that pretty much exactly the same as the margin line, isn't it?
Yeah, really? It's 018 to main line again, to a bulk of number 8s, and then a 3-inch uplink. But like here, like I said, in the summer, you might go to a 2-inch uplink if you've probably got 10
like
inch
loads
of water.
Of fish in your peg as well, so it keeps it a bit more pinned down, like the methods, almost keeping it like a method feeder sort of style, hybrid style. That sort of what,
yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And then we'll go through the size of toss pots quickly that you'd probably want on the day. You wouldn't want any bigger than the large guru pot.
Yeah.
The only time you'd ever use that is if you're probably feeding a bit of ground bait or something like that.
Yeah,
you wouldn't want to feed that
or something like that.
Yeah, if it was really hard. My main pots that I normally use are these 2 pots here at Westwood. Is the medium and the
guru. Yeah.
Yep. The smaller medium guru. Usually this one here hasn't got any holes cut in the side because I use that for my hard pellets.
Yeah.
And this one here.
Oh yeah, you took some sort of chunks out the side of it. Is that so it releases the micro pellets
quicker?
That's
exactly
so
that.
Just get a dunk.
Well, the little holes that are on the side there at the minute, I've just got a pair of scissors and just cut the hole a little bit bigger. It's so like when you put your pot under the water, it releases your micros a lot quicker.
Yeah. So the bait releases a lot quicker, and it's going to come out smooth and not stick in the pot and stuff like that.
No, exactly.
So basically, what I can see is you've got all your pots on your tray. Do you always do that so you can quickly change in the match? And
mate. Like I usually have these 3 pots mainly, and then if I want to quickly change one to a different size, I think like you might start over there in the summer.
Yeah.
Right tight across on a medium, and then all of a sudden you realise you've got too many fish in your peg.
And then you'd scale it down.
Yeah, and then you'd go to a few less micros. Yeah. And then obviously you set in the trap and there's not so many micros there, but then that means you're having to ship in and out so quick because the trap's getting unset.
Yeah, and then likewise, if you wasn't getting a response, you'd up the feed and try and make something happen.
Yeah. Exactly that, yeah.
So well, if
you, not very often it happens, but if you didn't have any fish in your peg, for some reason, you probably would have a little bit of ground bait with you, like you know as well as I do. If you feed a bit of ground bait, it attracts, doesn't it?
So you got the best of both worlds. So you got all options covered.
Yeah.
If pellets are not working, what you're trying to say.
You'd probably in the summer, you probably want a few dead maggots with you as well. Do you know what I mean? Just for a bit of a change.
Yeah, a bit of a change. So if your pegger's a bit iffy and it's not really quite happening, or they get a bit educated and try and fall them sort of wary of fish.
Yeah. Also, it's really good to have a bit of electrical tape with you as well, because on here there's obviously 3 different depths you need to fish, but it's really good idea. I'll probably just show you on the camera now, Rich. Is that it's really really ideal to have a bit of tape.
Yeah. So when you're plumbing up to the far shelf, if you find a bit of a nicer area, it's important to keep on that spot, isn't it? So
yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. It's ideal because here everyone knows it plumbs up like really weird. Like some places on the lake, I've known to have 18-inch down the middle.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, so it's a bit everywhere, a bit unpredictable.
Yeah, it's a bit unpredictable to what sort of depth, and sometimes it can be like an egg box all over.
Yeah.
So that bit of tape's absolutely key.
As well with tape as well. Some people like to look at graphics, so you've got obviously the Darby logo there, but the trouble is when you look at a graphic, you're always looking for where the graphic is. So just having that tape, you can put your thumb straight on it. Yeah, you can
put your hand like straight on that.
Yeah.
And I know that's exactly where I've plumbed up.
Yeah.
So
Rather than fiddling around looking for one of these graphics, trying to work out which is the right one.
Like you're 100 times accurate to where you're fishing, because you can be like an inch to the right here, and like you're off.
Yeah, you might be 6 inches deep or 6 inches shallow. Exactly, it's a bit everywhere. Yeah, it's almost like a cliff face. It's just all over the place.
And that's no good when you're obviously fishing micros.
Yeah. So should we get some bait and catch some fish?
Yep.
Right, Tom, so you've run us through sort of the baits and rigs you're going to use today. So regarding plumbing up, you're going to show us exactly how you like to plumb up.
Yeah, I'm going to start plumbing up by the 13-metre line.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've picked a far bank marker, which is a tree in the middle. Obviously, you want to pick something that's not going to move during the day.
It's not like a car or a cow or something like that.
No, it's no good picking an angler either, because if they packed up...
Yeah, pack them and go home.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, going to put the plummet on.
Put the plummet on, whiz it over.
Yeah. Obviously, I've picked 3 different depths on this line, but we're going to start at the 13-metre line at the minute.
Yeah.
This is 13. Obviously, I've got a short kit in, so it's 13 metres in the dolly butt. I'm just gonna.
So there's a bit of a hole there, sort of thing.
Yeah, look, you can see, like, if you, as I was talking earlier about the way this
plums up.
Sometimes it's all over the place.
So in terms of plumbing up, Tom, some people say bottom of the body, some people say a bristle length, some say other. Which sort of way do you like to plumb up?
Usually I like to be just at the bottom of the bristle. As you can see, look, there's a little bit of a hole there, look.
Yeah, a bit of a sinking hole, yeah.
So that's obviously where my far bank marker is, so I might just have to move that a bit to the left now, so I'll probably move to the next tree, yeah?
Yeah.
Which is where it's a little bit flatter.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's sort of a bit all over the place because you're on a shelf. When you're plumbing up in the shelf, would you plumb up any different to sort of a flat bottom? In terms of putting line on the bottom?
Well, I suppose if it was windy, you'd put line on the bottom, wouldn't you?
So you'd probably go to the bottom of the body rather than what you're doing now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's a subject quite a lot of people get confused about, people talk about, and everyone has a different opinion, so knowing your opinion is quite interesting.
Like, look, as you can see, look there, I've just gone to the left a little bit there, and then it goes back to flat again.
Yeah, I think that's another thing worth mentioning as well. Like, don't just plumb up to where you think to fish. Like, you're planning
take
to
a bit
fish.
of time.
You plumb up there and it's not right. There's holes and it's all over the place. It's no good. Sort of have a feel around your peg, go 6 inch past it, 6 inch short, 6 inch to the left, 6 inch to the right, and find somewhere where you're happy with. Because at the end of the day, you've got to present your bait there and do it properly. If you've got a hole 4 inches to the left, it's just going to be a disaster. Your rig could be anywhere, the fish could be anywhere. You just try and find something you're happy with and present the trap. At the end of the day, it's almost like presenting a mouse trap, isn't it? Everything's got to be dead right.
Yeah, everything obviously, because the wind's now getting a little bit tricky. That's why that wire float will come in quite nice now.
Just be a bit more stable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with that there, so.
Yeah. So you've lined up with a tree on the far bank, yeah?
Yeah, just straight in front.
Yeah.
So we'll come back in. Yeah, we'll come back in now. We'll just put the plummet back on the other rig, which is obviously a little bit further across. Yeah. Which is it'll be 14 metres with the
dolly butt.
With the dolly butt in, yeah. So I'm happy with that. Right, I'll just put the plummet on this rig here and ship across.
Yeah, there's another thing as well, like the wind sort of blowing towards the island, sort of off your back. Would you ever look to use back shots when it's like this, or?
Yeah, well,
because obviously
because it's got a bit of a dirt, it's got a bit of a skim on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, obviously, your float can like drift through, and like, so when you're fishing hard pellets and that, you want your rig and everything all to be still, don't you?
Yeah. So obviously as well, you're on a slope, so if the wind's coming off your back and blowing it past your pole tip, you're effectively going to be up the sloping more off the bottom, so that's when the back shot comes in, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
like as you can see there, that's lined up with that tree. That's plumbed up perfect there. It's quite flat there as well.
Yeah, perfect. So that's on the same sort of marker. You have a good feel around.
Yeah,
find what you're
obviously.
happy with.
So that's the same. I'm just dead in line. Picked 3 lines, 1 tight across, 1 where I am now, and then 1 at 13 metres.
Yep.
So all different depths. So, so if you start getting line bites,
Yeah, you just spook one
you
there.
can just
so obviously,
you can just move down and just follow the fish from where they are.
So you obviously just spook one then. That's obviously a good indicator the fish might want to be in the really shallow water because it's quite warm today. So
yeah, oh yeah, the temperature. They're probably the warmest part of the water today. Is probably right
water.
across. Yeah.
Yeah, margins in across to the far side.
We'll just quickly plumb the cross rig up.
Yep.
I like to use a. It's only a little plummet. This is little 20
so
gram.
you've actually gone to a lighter plummet now?
Yeah.
They're across, yeah?
Yeah, because obviously.
So why is that then?
So when you're plumbing up across, because here it's quite up and down, so your plummet don't roll down then, does it, so much?
Yeah, right.
Obviously I need dolly butt in. You don't want the plummet, you want to make sure,
so you're
like, plumbing up's key, yeah.
When you're on a silty bottom, you like to use heavy on initially to try and find the silt. What you're trying to say, yeah?
Yeah.
And then use a lighter plummet after that, yeah? So across there, it's a bit almost all over the place, so...
Yeah, so that's why a light plummet, you can feel like where it's like real bumpy, like as you can see over there, it doesn't plumb up very well.
No. So when it's like that, you've got to be really critical of where you put your rig.
If
you
your
put
rig
it to a few inches to the left, you could be off the bottom, as you can see now. So.
Yeah. So you need to make sure that you're plumbing up, you're accurate, because if you're not accurate, and say if your pellet's just out or anything like that, it can be you can be fishing off the bottom or
spook,
as you can see, there's a lot of fish moving about.
Yeah, so it's going to be likely they're going to be in that depth.
They're likely going to be in that depth of water there. Which,
So you just shove that up a few more inches. Another thing as well, Tom, when you're fishing across, is there any? So you've got quite a big expanse of far bank here. Is there anything you look for to fish against?
Yeah, mainly into them. As you can see over there, there's a lot of rat holes here on.
Yeah. So they're going to be the dead shallow sort of little holes you're looking to fish for.
Yeah.
Fish into.
Well, that's usually the shallowest water.
Yeah.
Obviously over there it's quite shallow.
Yeah, you can push your rig dead tight against a bank, so you've almost set in the perfect trap. The fish can't come behind your float and you're going to hook them in the mouth.
Yeah, as you can see there, I'm not really very happy with that because that's rolling down that bank.
Rolling, so you're going to move slightly.
Yeah, I'm going to have to probably move over to there. As you can see right over there, you can get right tight in over there.
Yeah, you can get proper tight in, yeah.
Yeah, well that's what you want. You want your float, so obviously I've lift my float up a little too much there.
Yeah, so you've always got to take a bit off. That's too far over depth, he's trying to say.
Yeah, but that'll be absolutely perfect where that is, because they can't get behind your rig.
Yeah,
there.
and it's a bit more flatter there, isn't it? It's not such a variation of depth.
No, that's exactly that.
So when you're fishing across, would you still with the bristle, or do you look to put a bit more line when you're plumbing up, or?
Usually I plumb up to the bottom of the. If it's quite flat, I usually just plumb up to the bottom of the body.
Bottom of the body.
Yeah.
Is that because there's more fish there and your rig's going to be wafted around a bit? It needs to be a bit more still. Is that the reason, or?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now, I've just gone back across there.
That's absolutely perfect.
It's quite flat over there now.
Yeah. Like that hole you're fishing in there compared to the other one where it's all over the place, it's so much better, isn't it? You're going to present your rig a lot more nice.
Yeah, and like when you set your trap with your micros, they're not going to be rolling down the bank, or they're sitting on quite a flat bit of
yeah, so the fish are not going to come up and down the shelf where it's all over the place, so you're going to keep them pinned against that bank in the same depth.
Yeah, like it's absolutely key plumbing up. I wouldn't like now that's really nice there, but
so
like,
you're plumbing up another line now.
No. I'm just going to have I'm just going to have a quick plumb around to see, like, obviously you can see there's another little hole there. Look.
I'll try and find another spot it plums up even better, sort of thing.
Yeah, like don't, because you've got your whole peg to use.
Or if you need to use it as a rest line for the other line, sort of, if it's hard.
Like you can use your whole peg, you see.
Yeah.
Like
that's dropping all over the place. A bit deeper.
That's a lot deeper over there. Like that's a little bit shallower. So we'll just stick with what we've gone with.
So you're happy with what you plumbed up to there? That's perfect for what you're trying to achieve.
Yep, that's spot on.
Right, Tom, so you've showed us exactly where you're going to fish today and how you're going to plumb up. How are you going to start the session then? What lines are you going to pick?
Right, we're going to start off at the 13 metre line in 30 inch.
Yeah.
We're going to feel our way into it because the water's still cold. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to like feed a few pellets.
Use it to fill your way in and see what response you sort of get.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a 6mm small little scratting on the hook.
Yeah.
And then feed in some 4mm hard pellets.
So how many 4mm are you going to look to feed?
Well, I'll probably
just to start with.
I'll probably fill my pot up probably like quite a bit.
Yeah, and then
probably half full.
So you're going to drip feed it and like see what sort of response you get from how much you're going to feed, sort of thing.
Yeah, like I can. Obviously, I've got a little lid on that with a hole in it.
So you can keep feeding while your rig's in the water and judge it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tap like probably 6 or 7 out. I can get like a couple of probably 3 feeds out of one pot instead of having to ship back in and out. Yeah. Which obviously it saves you a lot of time, doesn't it?
Right. So you shipped out to your mark.
Yeah.
How are you going to feed your peg? So are you going to drop it in from a height? Are you going to drop it close to the water?
I'm going to tap it out probably about 18 inch, just to make a bit of noise, just so.
Yeah.
We're starting the session, obviously, make a bit of noise, try and get some fish in your peg.
Yeah.
Just tap probably 6 or 7 pellets out there.
So you just fed enough to try and draw one fish in and see what happens.
Yeah. Now I'm going to swing me rig out to the side, to the right, so it arcs like that.
Yeah.
Then hold your float tight. Obviously, turn your pot back up.
Yeah.
So obviously no pellets come out.
Oh,
got a bite straight away.
Yeah. So I've noticed that you've hooked one. You've tapped a few pellets in. Is that to try and encourage the next fish to come in?
Yeah. So it settles down a little bit now before you.
Yeah.
Before you go back out.
So that was a really good start. So what are you thinking now? You thinking it's going to be a good day, or you just
we've noticed both of us have. There's a lot of fish moving about over to the far side, so probably potentially we're going to catch right across.
Yeah. So if you start to get funny indications, missed bites, foul lookers, then you know to push go onto your next rig slightly further across and try that.
Soon as we start getting funny bites and funny indications, then we can move up. That's why we've got the 3 rigs for, so we can find out
that slope. Yeah.
Oh, it's a barbel.
It's a nice barbel. It was a nice start.
Nice fish to start.
How big's that? £1.5, £2?
Probably £2, yeah.
Yeah, nice start. You nailed that at the top lip, so obviously your rig's working perfect, plumbed up perfect.
Just pop him in the net and then we'll
have another go.
Have another go.
So I'm guessing you're going to fill your pot exactly the same, pretty much feed it exactly the same as you just started.
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah. So you can so if you do go in and you don't get a bite straight away, you can have you've always got
feeds.
A chance of a few more feeds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just again, I started on a little 6mm scratting pellet there. That's what the fishery pellets are at the minute. They're absolutely perfect, to be honest. They're not just quite like a 6mm copping. They're just that little bit smaller.
Yeah.
And I think
that in between like a 4 and a 6mm copping.
Yeah, they're more like probably like a 5mm. Yeah.
In terms of putting hard pellets on your band as well, do you ever like look to change colour or anything like that?
What colour of the band?
No, the colour of the pellet. So would you ever like try like a red pellet or like a slightly different
The only
shade,
time I usually try red pellets is when I'm fishing shallow.
Yeah, is that the silhouette of the sky sort of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you pretty much keep it dead simple and concentrate on what's happening in your swim.
Yeah, so shipped out again to my marker.
Yeah.
Just lay the rig in and then I'm going to tap some pellets out. Probably not quite so high this time because I've got a bite straight away.
Yeah,
then.
so you're worried of them coming straight up and looking for them and foul looking them.
Yeah, we don't.
To them shallow.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just getting a bit of a side wind now.
Yeah. So another thing as well, you've got side wind. Would you look to put a back shot on or?
Well, it's sitting all right at the minute.
Yeah. So if it started to move around too much and you're not happy with how it working, you'd put the back shot on.
Yeah, if it started to move off your marker then and drift along, you don't want it. You want when you're fishing hard pellets, you want it you float to sit dead still.
Yeah, so
just had a little indication then.
Yeah. So now you've had that indication, would you feed straight away after, or do you give it a minute, or?
No, I usually when I'm feeding my pellets, usually counts like 90 in my head, or like probably like a minute and a half.
Yeah, so you're getting quite a lot of indications now, aren't you? So.
Yeah.
So they've obviously responded to that noise, and the queen of them to have a look. Another thing as well, the sun's out, so they probably do naturally want to come up, but that's when your 3 rigs cover your different depths, so you can.
Yeah, like because we're getting a lot of funny indications there.
Yeah, so that's almost could be too deep for today.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's probably going to be too deep for today. I'll just see one a little bit further the back of my bait there as well then.
So you naturally probably want to be in that almost sunbathing in that warmer water.
Yeah, probably like will be the warmest part of the peg, won't it, at the minute?
Yeah. The shallow water generally sort of heats up faster than when the sun comes out.
Like you can see there,
yeah,
look
you
at
got
that.
like a line up.
And then there's one just swirled at the back of there.
Yeah. So initially now you're thinking that you've caught one first cast, but it's not going to be right for today.
Like mainly in here it's carp and F1s, like to catch a barbel first putting, it's...
Yeah, they tend to like to sit in that slightly deeper water as well, where the carp and F1s don't they? So
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
it's like where you catch the barbel to the spinners and things like that. It's not where you catch the carp, is it? So it's almost like an indication that there's probably no carp or F1s there yet.
Like the barbel in here, they always seem to live round the area. It's like 9 and 10 over the far bank,
Yeah.
and then 31 and 32, which they're both spinner pegs.
Yeah, so they live in certain areas of the lake.
Like I had an indication there for probably like 30 seconds, so I'll probably just tap some more pellets
Yeah.
out.
How many are you topping in at a time, roughly?
Probably 5.
Yeah.
Probably
So
5
would you
or
ever look
6.
to feed more than that at once, or say if you're getting loads of indications, try and pin them down, or?
Maybe try and
So,
feed
yeah.
a few more pellets.
So they're obviously coming straight to that noise where you get an indication as soon as you're fed.
Yeah. So we know now that we're in the wrong depth of water, really.
Yeah.
So we'll just give it.
Yeah.
Give
so
it
you're obviously
another-
missing a lot of bite, getting a lot of indications.
This is like where you were in a match. You need to know that to move
Yeah.
straight
so
away.
that line and rig gives you an indication to where the fish, if they want to be in shallow or deeper water. So if you weren't getting any bites, there's a chance they might want to be in deeper water. But if you're getting loads of indications and
Like that's foul up.
yeah.
So we know now that depth of water that we're in there now, that 30-inch,
Yeah, it's not right.
it's completely it's not the right depth.
No.
So next put-in, I'll pick my other rig up.
See, another thing is, well, you've just bumped into a fish shallow when you're shipping back, so it obviously wants to be high up in the water column.
Yeah. It's only a little F1, but definitely is foul hooked.
I think it's like under the chin. I think it's come up to look at your bait and then it's...
It's just underneath the chin,
Yeah.
that is. Nice F1, but
Yeah.
it's foul hooked.
Whereabouts have you hooked that, just from out of
Just in the
interest?
side wing it is.
Yeah.
Just in the...
So it's almost like the fish have come up. The fish have decided to come up to look at the food, and because your rig's in the water, you've got that indicator lifted it straight up into the fish while it's off the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. That's why we were speaking about earlier about the 3 different rigs.
Yeah. So what are you going to do now? You're going to try feeding it different, or are you going to pick up that other rig?
I'm
or-
going to pick up my other rig, which is which will be 21-inch.
Yeah, so just that bit shallow water.
Yeah. So we'll just put that top kit back up.
Yeah. So how are you initially thinking of feeding that 21-inch rig? Are you going to feed it the same, or?
Yeah, I'm just going to start by tapping a few hard fours out.
Yeah, almost so like you're starting again like you were initially, just see if the shallow water is what they want to be in rather than coming off the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
So how much further across is this shallower rig?
It is probably about, I don't know, probably about 2 foot.
Yeah, so it's just slightly up that shelf into that shallower water.
probably 2 foot from 30 metres. Well, it's at the end of my 40-metre section, I've got a short kit in.
Yeah.
So with my other one, it was with a dolly butt.
So your other rig, how many inches deep was that?
Pardon?
Your other rig, how many inches deep was your other rig?
That was 30-inch.
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of variation. It's not a massive variation, but it obviously can make a difference because the fish will be sat where they want to sit. This is where all these, as you can see as well, there's a lot of inches on the marked on the top kits. It just be critical them sort of inches getting it right.
Like marking your top kits is on
Yeah.
snake lakes is absolutely it's
Yeah.
crucial.
Or you might go in now and it might be absolutely perfect, hook every fish in the mouth, be absolutely solid.
Yeah.
And without having them markers there, you wouldn't know that. Say if you're coming again the next time and it wasn't right.
No, literally, like you can set your rigs up on your top kits to
Yeah.
the depths you want to fish in.
As well, all the top anglers are starting to do that now, aren't they? I think everyone can see sort of the benefits in doing it now.
Yeah, definitely. Like even when you're shallow fishing as well, like you can just set all your rigs up on your top kits and you can set it
Yeah.
up every 4-inch or whatever sort of depth you want to fish at.
Yeah, just a massive, makes everything a lot easier.
Just tap a few pellets out. Oh, there's one on straight away.
Do you think that's in the mouth or?
Don't know, the elastic come pulled out, so it didn't look like it's foul hook to me. I don't know, it might be. But like, and even that just proves straight away that they were up in that shallow water
Yeah,
there.
so they're a lot happy. There was obviously the fish a lot there quicker and it wanted to be there.
Yep. That feels in the mouth, this does.
Yeah, so that's where you want your soft elastic as well. Oh. So that could have been foul up.
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good way to indicate that you are in the correct depth or the wrong depth.
Yeah, it's just weird like how I went in and the elastic just come out.
So it might have been a fish that was already in that you just laid your rig over it. Could have been just that.
We'll just repeat the process again, just fill your pot up and just tap a few pellets out. But they might want to be in that shallow water straight away, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that still could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then like maybe you might go into the shallow water, catch a few, and then you've always got these backup rigs for like if they do drop down the shelf, or do you know what I mean? You've always got something to drop down to. So you lay your rig in.
Yeah.
And then just pick your marker up and then just tap your pellets in on your marker.
Yeah.
And then just literally just drop your float in nice and gently.
So you hit indication straight away.
Indication straight away there. So it's just telling me straight away we've made the right decision moving up the shelf.
Yeah, it's just a case if you need to be right across in the rat hole so they can't come the other side of your float sort of thing.
Yeah. So they can't come the other side of my rig then.
Yeah, I notice as well now you're not getting all these silly little. You're still getting indications, but you're not getting all them little flying shoot like where the float's shooting under and you're missing bites or anything like that.
No.
It's sitting a lot better.
So the wind's getting up now. It's always the same. Best thing to do as well is just keep lifting your rig up and like dropping it, just trying to tempt one on.
Another thing as well, talking about the bristle, how much bristle do you have? Quite like.
I think on here, I think you need to have quite a bit of bristle showing because you do get a lot of funny bites.
Yeah, so you're almost waiting for it to go a proper bite while up and it's on, rather than striking it. If you have your float dotted down, striking little dibs and dabs and foul hooking all the fish.
Yeah, exactly that. You don't want to be, like you can see now there's a little line of day. If you had your float dotted down there, and you'd know straight away you'd strike because your float you'd just dot under.
Yeah.
That is a bite then.
Yeah. So now you've gone and get them these sort of I just see one move there. You're getting all these indications. What are you initially thinking now about this rig? Do you reckon stick it out for a bit, or
I'll probably have another couple of minutes on it if like I'm getting funny indications straight away on that now.
Yeah.
Like
that was a proper bite, yeah.
And you can just tell straight away that was a nice bite.
Yeah, still a lot of indications, but you did manage to get a clean bite.
Like now you'd go back out on that rig now because you haven't foul hooked one, you haven't.
Yeah, so you give that another go and see what it's going to do.
Yeah. Definitely give that another go now. Water hydro's perfect for this as well, isn't it? It's just
nice
lovely and soft.
When you're fishing across in that shallow water, you're not hooking them in the...
That's a decent sized carp.
Nice carp. So you're not hooking them and they're splashing everywhere and disturbing the peg, they just come out of the peg nicely.
Yep.
Yeah. So straight away, that's hooked in the mouth.
Yep, right in the top lip.
Yeah, so that difference, even though it's a little difference of depth, it works straight away and you've caught, straight in the top lip. So although it might not be right straight away, you're getting towards where the fish want to be.
Yeah.
So it could be now, it could be a bit in between that rig or your right across rig. One of them is going to be the right rig for the,
like you've got I've got a proper bite there, right? Like you can see, I'll just see one move then, right tight up.
Yeah.
Like
so it's obviously getting a lot warmer as well, so that's probably why the fish want to naturally go across as well.
Always find on here that a little 6mm, like a skretting pellet is a lot when you're feeding the 4mm.
Would you ever consider going to like
a
6 or a 6mm copper, for example, on the hook where it's just a bit denser and heavier, or to just stabilise it in the swim a bit better?
I suppose if it was mainly carp,
bigger carp,
bigger carp, like coppins, they're great for that, aren't they?
Yeah, I suppose it's well like the 6mm coppins, because they're quite big, you might miss a few bites off the F1s and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you're fishing for proper carp, you could even put an 8mm on, you could just keep your bait still, couldn't you?
Yep.
but obviously it's not really the size of fish to do it today. So
Like that's probably the sort of thing we'll probably show at decoy when we go there.
yeah.
Like on Oak Lake.
We're just tapping a few hard pellets. And
Yeah,
just
when
catching
you
one fish at a time.
A lot bigger hard pellets than like 4 mils.
Yeah, just different size of fish, different size of pellets, really.
Like I just tapped some pellets out there and like I haven't had an indication yet, which is a good sign.
Yeah,
Because you know the fish are there.
Yeah,
You just
you're
your
probably getting heads down rather than coming up looking for it because they're comfortable in the swim. Sitting nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like that's a carbon flow. It's sitting pretty nice with the wind.
With the wind. I suppose as well being carbon, if the fish are being a bit moody but they don't want to be tight across, they don't want to be in that other swim you started off, the 30 odd inches, you could even string that out and keep laying it in and almost catch them on the drop, couldn't you? If they're a bit cagey and moody. That carbon cement just allows you to be a bit more versatile.
Like that's definitely a good sign now. Like we've tapped out probably like 6. Oh, had a little indication.
There's
there.
nowhere near the amount of false bites and indications as were previously, is there? So
No. Like I just
you're
missed
almost one step to getting it correct straight away.
Like I just missed a bite then, but just feed a few more pellets. It's definitely key that you constantly fishing on to the marker you've got, because like if I move that a bit to the right now or anything like that.
Yeah, it could be on different contours of bottom as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So you could almost be, some venues, you could even be like 2 inches out of depth, couldn't you? You could be 2 inches off bottom or on bottom at some venues. You've got to be that accurate with it, ain't you? So
just keep making a bit of noise. Obviously, we're not getting many indications now, which is strange because it was as soon as we went across, it was like.
Yeah, you got a bite straight away, and then you obviously had that foul hook, which comes straight to that bait. So
yeah.
So obviously you've gone on that line now. You've caught that one, and you're getting the odd indication, but it's not like brilliant at the minute.
No.
Would you ever look to changing? Would you ever look to feeding try feeding micro pellets or anything like that?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to come on to that.
Yeah.
Like, as well, I'm just feeding hard pellets there. Like sometimes here, like they like micros a lot more than like hard pellets.
Yeah.
So
it's quite early in the year as well. So
like you could still fish a hard pellet there, but you could still just tap a few micros out, just like make a bit of noise.
Yeah.
Like the wind's getting up now, it's making it hard to hold it.
So there's definitely a lot less bites this cast. Would you ever consider fishing an expand on hook and feeding the hard pellets, or wetting the 4 mils down slightly if you felt the micros weren't right, but you want
usually I'd just change to micros.
Yeah, so you keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between
so you wouldn't consider softening them down and trying it a bit more negative, or
like micros and expanders across, yeah, maybe, but
yeah.
Like that's in the mouth.
Yeah. So you've obviously waited longer, you've not had so many indications, but when you get a bite over there, it's a proper bite. So it's not worth sitting in that deeper water and foul hook and everything. You might wait a bit longer over there, but if it's in the mouth, it's going to be more beneficial at the end of the day, isn't it? No good losing the fish. You'd rather have it in the mouth and then you're keeping it.
Like as soon as we had to wait a little bit longer for that bite and probably a few taps of pellets and a bit of feeding. But
is that when you obviously select like a white hydroelastic?
Yeah, so it's nice and soft on the strike, and then obviously they've still got soft mouths and that.
Yeah, and obviously this time of year some of the fish don't fight, some fight like mad. It's quite versatile. You can land anything on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got a couple of strips and you're under control of the fish.
And it's a nice carp again.
Yeah. How big's that, £3?
Yeah. So now I'm just going to have a change to micros, just to show, like we're here today for the purpose of filming. So I'm just going to change it to micros. I'd probably carry on with the hard pellets if I was in a match, but I just want to show the viewers that what can happen when you feed micros in the wrong depth of water, or whether it might help it and it might be better. Still with a hard pellet on the hook. Same with the 4 mils, just literally a little tap, and that you've probably sprinkled out now there. Probably. So
you're still going to sprinkle it out so you're feeding it the same as you were with the hard pellets, but just with micro pellets, basically.
Yeah, exactly that.
So if you're getting a lot of indications again, would you ever put the clump in and let it sort of all come out in one pile, or?
Maybe, but it's like the depth of water there. It's like you would never feed micros in that sort of depth unless you was really struggling.
Sort of if it was hard winter style sort of fishing.
Yeah, like in the middle of winter, you'd probably like rattle a few micros out and sit and wait for a bite, don't you?
Yeah.
But like now it's warmed up and that you're trying to make a bite. Like I just had an indication then.
Yeah. Straight away though, you've not had so many indications as you were feeding them 4 mils, just purely for the fact of the noise of the 4 mils. Oh,
They're like
missed bite, yeah.
Like there's 2 missed bites or 2 indications since I've been feeding micros. I'll just show you again. We'll sprinkle a few more micros out.
Maybe you float, yeah.
They're like straight
so
away
many
line bites.
liners, yeah.
And that's just proving that they probably want micros, but they're coming up off the bottom to feed off their micros. They're not actually on the bottom.
Just shows the little changes, little minor changes, how it can affect your swim, doesn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah,
Like a fine margin between doing it completely right and wrong.
like them 4 mils with that oil on, it's getting them down fast.
Yeah.
Like them micros haven't got any oil on.
Yeah, but you still got the noise of them pellets to attract the fish in.
Yeah, and like they sink a lot faster.
Ooh.
Like look
Yeah.
at that. That looked like a proper bite.
Yeah, but it's a liner.
Yeah. We'll sprinkle a few more
Yeah.
out.
So a lot of people sort of think that, oh, fishing across, even if it's deeper like that, even if it's just off the far bank, say if they even can't reach with a pole, they automatically think, oh, micros and expanders. But as you can see from that, it's just not right, is it?
No.
It's too deep, they spread too much, and it's just not right for the day.
Like it's warm today. The warmest part of the water is going to be right across.
Yeah.
I just had another indication then. Like you can tell they're definitely not feeding on, or they're coming up in the water too as I'm feeding with micros.
Yeah. It's well, like when you're not getting so many indications, but when you do get an indication, it's a false bite, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not getting a positive fish in the mouth sort of bite. It's funny sort of line bite.
The wind's getting up now, as usual.
With the wind getting up as well, if it was moving your float, would you put any more line on the bottom?
If I really couldn't hold it, yeah.
Yeah, if your float was pushing through, all hot, nasty and all that sort of thing.
Sometimes it'd probably like be better to go to a heavier float though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So that's a
So like a 4x14, that's
yeah.
a 4x12.
Even 4x16 when it's really windy, just to
Yeah.
keep it pinned down.
When you're fishing pellets, you want everything to stay still. You don't want.
Yeah.
Like I haven't really had any indications
No.
on that now, so we're going to ship in, and we'll have a go fishing right across.
Yeah, right in the shallowest water in the swim. So now you've had no indication, real proper bites or indications on the micros. So when you're going right across, are you going to feed 4 mils or micros now?
I'm going to feed micros.
You're right.
I'm going to feed micros right across in 17 inch, and I'm going to fish an expander on the hook.
Yeah.
Soft pellet.
So it's almost matching the soft pellets as you feed.
Yep. We're going to change to micros and expanders now across to the mud. We're going to start off by filling my pot up. I'm going to change my pot to different now from what we was when we were feeding our pellets and obviously sprinkling them micros in. I've got the small guru pot on. I've got little holes cut out in it, so as soon as you pot it under the water suction pulls the pellets out, and then they just go down straight in one. And I'll just ship out now. So basically you're setting a little trap across there, so that the fish are just coming in, homing in on them micros, and then your formal expander is just going to be in the pile of bait. Just pop that under the water just like that, so the water gets into your pot. Little tap, and your bait's out. Just lift your float up right over the top of that bait. Oh,
Line up.
Line it. So I've just had an indication, so you just put your float back over the top. Usually now, if you was in the summer, you'd probably have that many fish there. You need to refeed again, because they'd messed up your trap.
The thing as well, Tom, with the amount of line between your floating tip, so your lash.
Yep.
What is your sort of starting lash? Obviously, it all depends on the wind, but would you be any times where you'd have it really short or a bit longer, or?
Well, it all depends on what you've got on the far bank, I always say.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got overhanging reeds and God knows what, like...
Yeah, so if you've got like a tree, you're not going to have 3 foot of line because you're going to strike in it and lose a lot.
Yeah, you don't want that. You want it probably short as possible. Like, on here, you need to get in that little hole there. Do you know what I mean? You ain't going to get away with an 18-inch lash.
Yeah.
Because otherwise your line would be wrapping over them bits of branches that are hanging over and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you're almost looking for the minimum you can get away with on the day.
Yep, exactly that.
And also as well, use a shorter lash. It keeps you float more pinned into that bait on the bank, doesn't it? So
yeah, like you can see
you don't
there.
want to move away so much from your little pile of feed.
You can see then that you can easily get tangled around a little bit of grass that you can't see, or
Yeah.
you just like learn as the day goes on by what's there and what's in your peg and what's overhanging, and then you just have to work to that.
Yeah. So you've gone over there, you've had an indication.
You see there, look, there's a bit of grass.
Yeah, a bit of a twig. How long would you give it?
No, I'd give it probably 2 minutes. Like now I'm going to ship back in.
Yeah, so you give it 2 minutes and then you'd refeed to keep setting that little trap.
Yeah, because obviously you want them to, the fish, well, you've seen that there was one there, but I don't know whether all the bait's gone, but if put a few more micros in, like, there's not many in that pot.
Yeah.
It ain't going to take a carp like long 6 pound or whatever to eat that bait, is it?
No. It's only really a mouthful. It's enough to trap one fish into it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So.
Just turn your pot over again, gently under the water. There you go. So I had an indication on the float then. So they come into the bait.
Yeah. Come straight into that little pile of bait. The wind's definitely not helping you today, is it? It's a bit awkward at times, so.
Like, that's one thing you've just got to, in here in the summer, you've just got to battle it. Like, just keep battling the wind and you get a reward out of it, because you just keep, no one else battles it. I know it's annoying, but like sometimes, like you can see there, I'm just holding my pole in the mud.
Yeah, so you're trapping it so it can't move. And your float can't move out from the bank or drift off in a direction.
There's like a little bit of an undercut there where I'm fishing.
Yeah.
And like my pole tips just underneath the undercut, which is ideal, because if the wind does catch you, it ain't going to blow you right along the bank.
Yeah. So initially now, you're not getting anywhere near the amount of false indication, missed parts or anything, are you? So there you go.
Just
that almost ripped the elastic out, didn't it? So
like, you know that there you're perfectly in the right depth. You haven't had any liners or nothing like that.
No.
You've just
there was no false bites, no little. You weren't missing any bites. It almost ripped the elastic out, didn't it? It was just perfect example, really.
Holding my pole from the wind. Obviously, it doesn't look windy here today. Yeah. But it is.
Notice as well, using short kits. Is there any reason you use them over long kits?
The short kits are just so much quicker.
Yeah, I suppose when you're catching big bags of fish at this place, you're going to need colossal weight. So.
Yeah, short amount of elastic, the shorter time it takes to get them in.
Yeah, and combined with the right elastic, it just makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? So, nice fish.
Right, carp there, straight in the top lip.
Yeah, common. Another thing as well I've noticed, it's a lot bigger fish in the last two, isn't it? Straight across into that. Because then bigger fish generally like that sort of deep, shallow water, don't they? So it's no different to the margins. Like the bigger fish like to come in the margins, it's no different to a far bank they'll come across.
Now you just literally keep like
repeating the process.
Yeah, repeat the process.
Yeah.
Right, now we've finished fishing across. It's been absolutely solid over there. So now I've been priming my edge since probably about an hour ago. So I can see there's a few fish moving down there. But usually here at Westwood, you wouldn't usually prime your edge or like give it 2 hours to go. In the middle of summer, people start down the edges on the top kits and fish there all day. So, right, I'm gonna fish 4mm expander and micros down the edge. Just gonna fill my toss pot up and ship out.
So I can see, Tom, you've not got a big cup set up. Is there any reason for this?
Yeah, well, obviously it's still cold at the minute. Yeah. Maybe in the summer you might have a big pot set up, but mainly all I normally do is just feed it when I want to go on it, because obviously there's that many fish in here in the summer. You start big potting and
Get too many fish in your peg.
oh yeah, it's a nightmare. It's a joke.
Yeah. So you almost fill your way into the margins as well. Feed it when you think it's right and see what response you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just laying my rigging down there now. Still maybe a little bit early for the edge really, but have a little look.
Soon find out. So you getting many sort of indications down there, or is it?
No,
It's just sitting there.
it's just sitting there at the minute. It's probably, I've got about 17 inch down there.
Yeah.
But usually in the summer, when you're fishing here, you wouldn't go any further than the top kit. We're fishing there today, down there 11 metres. Obviously the water's still cold at the minute,
Yeah.
so we want to be less disturbance as possible. Do you know what I mean? We're walking about short, and it's obviously not going to be very good.
Yeah. So, say if you went in the edge and you didn't have a bite, for example, would you completely scrap the margins, or would you come out from the bank in slightly deeper water or anything like that?
Sometimes, like in the summer when you fish here, you wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
You just find tight against the bank, because as soon as you feed your bait against the bank, they're like tailing up, or like you wouldn't want to fish away from the bank, 'cause otherwise you'd be getting foul hookers and stuff and like that all the time. It'd be pointless.
So in general, you're fishing like across. You're fishing tight in the bank and waiting.
Yeah,
to come
exactly.
in.
Exactly the same as when you're fishing across,
Same
but you're just
principle.
doing that down the edge.
Yeah. In terms of feed, are you looking? We've obviously got a selection of cad pots. How are you looking to use them? Are you going to up it or stick with a little small one, or?
Well, I've started off with a bit bigger toss pot there to try and get a volume of bait there,
Yeah.
to try and bring some fish in.
Yeah, because obviously naturally across the fish will already be living there, but whereas in the edge you've got to sort of try and get them there.
Like here in the middle of in the summer, like a lot of people don't fish any further than the top kit.
No.
So
it's very,
the
very
fish,
positive fishing.
sometimes the fish are very used to being down the edge. Like we're in March at the minute, so obviously they're not used to being down the edge yet, but if you give it another month or so,
Yeah.
the people will just start on a top kit down the edge and won't do anything else.
Yeah, that'll be the line to fish.
Yeah.
So if you was fishing the margins and you'll get loads of fish there, you'll get silly bites, foul lookers and that, would you ever change to feeding like a solid bait, like some 4 mils or?
Well, the only time I'd ever change to feeding like solid baits or anything like that is maybe hard pellets if it was like a lot deeper.
Yeah.
But
So what sort of depth would you look to fish hard pellets in rather than micros and expanders?
probably, oh, there's one.
We got one, yeah.
Probably any sort of depth from like micros is probably good up to like 14 inch, 16 inch.
Yeah.
But especially here at Westwood. But like some venues, like you can feed micros in like 2 foot if it's big carp, can't you? Or
Yeah.
like ground bait, for instance.
Yeah. So it's more about the venue and how many fish you're getting in your peg. So obviously if you've got absolutely loads of fish in your peg, you'd probably
Yeah.
end your time to feed your hard pellets, right, if they went stupid.
Yeah, like if you had down the edge in here, but if you had like say like I don't know 2 foot down the edge,
Yeah.
and
Marvelous.
then you'd probably would in here because you'd get too many fish
Yeah.
for micros.
Nice
Another
barbel.
nice barbel, £3 maybe.
Yeah. So in terms as well, you still sneak it in the margins, or are you going to make a bit of noise?
No, I still just turn the pot over and just dunk it under the water,
Yeah.
and obviously you're just setting that trap just like you are across.
Yeah. So, say if you were getting no bites or no fish there, would you ever try dropping it from a bit of height to make that noise, try and draw any fish, or just completely avoid it?
If I wasn't getting any bites down the edge, I'd just go across.
Yeah. So you just completely knock it
Just
on the
like
edge.
keep priming your edges.
Yeah.
And then like if you give it another like couple of weeks or so,
They'll be there when they want to
yeah,
be there.
yeah,
sort of thing.
they'll be there maybe from
Yeah.
the start.
Another thing I want to ask you is, obviously you've got that bulk on top of your hook link.
Yep.
So if you're fishing on a slope and it's quite a steep slope, would you ever look to string the shotting pattern out at all a bit, or so it just lies on the shelf a bit, or do you always stick to that shotting pattern?
I always usually have a good plumb up along the bank so that I can
Yeah.
find the flattest bit you possibly can.
Yeah, so you're looking...
You're looking to fish tight up. It is a bit undercut here, but if you look to fish as tight as you can to the bank, it minimises liners and that. So
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to fish away from the bank. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So as well as when you're plumbing up, some people like flat areas, some like a bit of a shelf. What do you look for, a flat area or a bit of a gradual shelf?
The flattest area I can find is the flatter it goes out, the more chance like your trap's going to stay in that sort of area, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's not going to roll down the slope or anything like that.
No, so you ain't going to have fish feeding at all sorts of depths.
Yeah. So another thing as well is, obviously you've got the wind in your face when you're fishing down that side.
Yeah.
Would you leave, I don't think you've got a back shot on now. Say if it got really bad, would you put your back shot so you're keeping everything on that little pile rather than the float blowing towards your face?
Yeah, 100%. Another thing is, like when you got that back shot on as well, it does pull it against the bank.
Yeah.
So that helps you to minimise liners as well.
Yeah.
Just
So again, like I was asking you when you was across, so if you've not had a bite within a couple of minutes, well, you got one there. So if you didn't have a bite within a couple of minutes, for example, would you come in again and repeat the process, or sit
yeah,
it
like
out?
if you go down the edge and you get like in the summer, you'd have it if they was tailing up down there and they moved your bait and then your pile's gone.
Yeah, you're likely to foul up the fish.
Yeah, you're likely. Oh, they're just in the summer. As soon as the bait's gone, they're gone, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's important to
It's an
it's only an F1. It's important to keep the feed, to make sure you've still got bait in your peg.
So basically what you're saying is, if a fish come in it bow waved or spook you swim or you foul up one or something, you're basically trying to set your little trap again and get the perfect presentation, rather than you fishing your little expander in a pile of quite an extended pile where it's all been wafted around.
Yeah, exactly that. Like if your bait's like not where your bait is, where your micros are,
yeah,
and then your formal expander's somewhere different, the fish are not going to be where you fed that bait, are they?
Yeah.
So
another thing when it comes to hook baits as well, would you always stick with an expander over micros, or would you ever look to use things like dead maggots or corn as a bit of a standout bait? Maybe the corn with a bit of weight.
Corn's sometimes usually pretty good on here.
Yeah.
As a change bait, because if you've got like maybe got a couple of wary carp in your peg, sometimes like when you're at commercials and that other venues, it makes a difference, doesn't it? Like double corn or a standout bait.
Yeah, just that as well, it adds that bit of weight. Say if there's a lot of fish in your peg and they waft it everywhere as well, it just adds that bit of weight to your hook bait as well, don't it? So it keeps it all on the bottom.
Yeah, or even maybe like double worm or something like that.
Yeah, double danger bean or something like that.
Anything like that. Just getting a few indications down there now as I've just started feeding. There's a few fish coming in. Oh, just had a bite then.
Just had a bite. So now you missed a bite because it might disturb your pile. Would you give it just a little? Because there's not that many fish in your peg. Would you give it sort of?
Yeah, I'd give it at least another
couple
couple of minute or a minute and a half or something.
Yeah.
Before feeding another pile there. So I did have an indication then, but there weren't any like swirls or anything to
no, so it's not really disturb your bait that much.
No. Oh, I just had another little indication.
Yeah, so there's definitely more fish coming in the peg now.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's probably took what 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
To properly get them there.
So another question I'd like to ask you as well, like if you was getting a lot of fish coming in, and you're almost, because obviously an expander pellet's a light bait and you're wafting your hook bait everywhere and things like that, would you ever look to settle on your 2-inch hook links and stuff like that?
Yeah, to like get your bulk closer to your hook length.
Yeah, to keep everything a bit more stable, a bit more still.
Yeah, like keeps it a bit more still. But like at the minute the water's still quite cold. I think like they are probably like a little bit finicky still, aren't they?
Yeah, just that changing period, isn't it, where it's between summer and winter sort of thing.
Like a 3-inch hook link at the minute is probably ideal, but as soon as it gets a bit warmer and you get a lot more fish competing for your bait, then I think it'd be different. Then you probably would get away with a 2-inch hook link.
Yeah. So now you've missed them 2 bites, have you had any more indications or?
I just had a couple of little dinks then.
Yeah.
There's obviously still fish around there. I did see a little swirl a minute ago as well.
Yeah, so you wouldn't give it too long before you reset your little pile of 2 mils?
Probably give it another like 30 seconds.
Yeah, just because you know there's a few fish there as well, like grubbing around. It's not absolutely hectic where they're swirling your rig everywhere. And I suppose as well this time of year, getting the feeding right is really critical. If you put too much in, it can just go. It's not like the summer, is it?
No.
Where they
exactly that. You just need to like feel your way into it by a toss pot, and that's why I haven't got a big pot set up.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to feed loads of bait.
Yeah, and it almost can tempt you to hoof it all in that big pot, can't it? It can just blow your peg within seconds.
Yeah. Oh, I just had another indication then. So we'll come back in. We'll feed some more bait.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you would never ever consider like fishing a sprinkle pot or anything like that down the margin this sort of time of year in the spring.
No, I think you're better off with a pile of bait.
Yeah.
All with a volume coming out at the same time.
So feeding with a sprinkle pot, say sprinkle a few micros in, that's just going to cause trouble with foul hookers and sort of liners and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and like the only time you'd ever want to use a sprinkle pot is like when you're trying to get fish in your peg, do you know what I mean, making a bit of noise and stuff like that. Oh, there's one.
So that's come really quickly after you feed, isn't it? So
yeah.
Obviously homing straight into that bait.
Like as soon as I put my bait on top of my 4-minute expander on top of my pile then, and there was one there waiting and it's just caught it straight away.
So now you've caught that really quick, would you try going in without feeding because that you almost fed it at the same time as you got a bite, or would you go in and feed again? Come on.
I'll just go in now and feed exactly the same.
Yeah, just carry on if it's steady and then work it out from there.
Just go in exactly how I've been feeding it, just a small, that's a medium toss pot. Literally fill it to the top like that, run your thumb across and just so it just pressures it into the pot. So as soon as you put that under the water, the holes there and the water just gets straight into the holes and just it suctions it straight out.
It's almost, I suppose, it's almost like feeding in a little pellet cone to an extent, isn't it? It's sort of the principle.
Yeah, just like a little trap kind of thing.
Yeah. But like you're saying, if you can keep it as tight as you can with the feeding, you're more likely to catch the fish, haven't you?
Yeah,
really?
like if you can keep everything all like accurate and everything all like tight and on the pile, then you should always get a bite or a clean bite. Like there's fish down there now because I'm getting indications.
Yeah, I suppose as well, Tom, as well, you see some anglers like to fish with the cad pots quite a way down the pole, but if you're fishing down there, for example, you had your cad pot, I don't know, a foot back away from your tip.
Yeah, that'd be, you wouldn't be feeding accurate.
Yeah, if you think about it as well, the fish, by the time where your hook bait is, they probably be the tails there if the fish is a foot back from your pole tip. So it just shows you how accurate you've actually got to be to hook them in the mouth.
Like that's probably like 8 or 10 mil just below my tip. Do you know?
Yeah, proper on the point. Yeah.
But it's got to be when you're fishing like this because you need everything to be like fine tuned. So you literally everything's on that.
Well, I suppose that makes a difference between the top anglers that catch a load of fish and then sort of your average sort of angler, I suppose.
Exactly. Just had an indication. There's
a fish.
It's only a little F1 by the looks of it.
Yeah, so it's just them little fine details that make that your top anglers just catch them a few more fish, isn't it, I suppose?
Got this black hybrid in here, but it's probably a little bit too much probably for F1s at the minute. But alright, so it's crucian by the looks of it.
So, being realistic, that's not what you'd be hoping to catch down the edge. Although it's a nice fish, would you change anything now you've caught that?
No, because it's not very often you actually catch one of them.
No, true.
Yeah. That's probably only one in here. The first one I've ever caught here. Right,
Tom, so that's another edge fish to conclude the day. So what are your thoughts on the day and what's been best?
Yeah, it's been a great day here at Westwood, finishing on a big carp at the end here.
Yeah.
We've started crossing 3 lines on pellets.
Yeah.
One in 30-inch and then one in just between the far bank and the...
Yeah, so you covered three depths in 3 rigs sort of thing.
Yeah, and then we found out that today that the best line's been the shallowest water.
Yeah.
And then obviously we've come down the edge and we've had a few bigger carp down the edge as well.
Yeah, so by working out that far bank line being the best, you've been able to deploy it down the edge and catch some bonus fish, bigger fish down the edge.
Yeah, there seem to have been bigger fish down the edge today.
Yeah. I suppose it's like the nature of margin fishing, they're always slightly bigger, aren't they? So.
Yeah, exactly, and a nice carp there to finish on.
Yeah. Hold him up, it's a nice one to end on. So Tom, that's been an absolute brilliant day at Westwood Lakes. We've had a fantastic day, caught loads of fish, and you've demonstrated exactly how you like to fish the venue. So what's been the best rig today? And explain how you fed it.
Yeah, I'll have a quick move on to the rig to let the viewers know what's been the best rig today.
Yeah.
The Carper Edge float's been the best rig today. That's because they've wanted to be in the shallow water. We've had mainly all of the fish down the edge and right tight across. But I'll just go quickly look. The other rigs, the wire stem, Carper F1 pellet has been great for a start with. It got us into the day, going fishing at 13 metres, and then we've moved across into like 25 inch with our pellets, then gone right over. So they're all worth having set up on the day, because you never know. Like this time of the year now, it's still quite cold, even though the sun's been out, still nippy, the water's cold, so you never know what rig you might need. So it's always worth setting every single rig up to cover all the options. I hope today that's helped you in an insight into Westwood and what I do here on Skylark and like most of the lakes. Thanks very much for watching.